day is November the 20th, 1947. The time, 11 o'clock. A nation and a world watch. Once only in 1100 years of British kingship has there been such a day. An heiress presumptive to the throne marries the man of her choice. The setting is Westminster Abbey. To its west door come members of Europe's royal houses, the peers and the people. History is in the making. 3 miles away, Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, now His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh, leaves. But the eyes of the world are centred on Buckingham Palace. Into the dull November morning, 2 greys draw the Irish state coach. Inside, Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth and her father. For any girl, wedding day is the day of her life. As the 21-year-old princess arrived at Westminster Abbey, it was her moment too. For Elizabeth, this was of necessity something more. From this hour, a new life begins. Mingled with her private happiness is the sure knowledge that she must now enter a widening field of public duty and responsibility. And now the solemn service begins. In this moment, charged with great meaning, the people of Britain and the Commonwealth joined. They listened and remembered, in towns and villages, in shops, in streets, in homes. For Elizabeth's destiny is great, so great that even the solemn splendor of this great moment could not altogether overshadow it. She who may one day rule over Britain and the Empire shares this heritage with her husband. The organ sounded, and for this hour Elizabeth is not only a queen-to-be, but a bride. And now they are man and wife. The princess had been in the abbey for nearly an hour. What followed the service was the ornate pageantry of a state occasion. It showed that this was no ordinary wedding, but that of a king's daughter. Following the bridal procession came the bride's father and mother, and behind them 5 kings, 5 queens, and 8 princes and princesses. From Romania, King Michael and his mother. Norway's tall King Haakon. Boy King Faisal of Iraq, the King and Queen of Denmark. From Holland, Princess Juliana and Prince Bernhard. The bridegroom's uncle and aunt, Earl Mountbatten, India's Governor-General, and the Countess. Outside the abbey, the great crowd waited eagerly. There was a roar of excitement as the princess, aided by her husband, appeared and stepped into the glass coach for the drive back to the palace. It was the signal for the most heartfelt outburst of affection that Britain has seen since the bride's parents led the coronation parade. The joy of princess and people was now complete. For both, the day had been an ordeal, frightening in its intensity, yet unforgettable in its splendor. And now the tension was lifting. Despite the imposing duties that are before them, the young couple were filled with the emotions of intense gladness, which so many have enjoyed in this peak of human experience. And it was as any priest would have spoken when, in his address, the Archbishop of York urged upon the young couple patience, a ready sympathy, and forbearance. For the people who had come from afar, the wedding was a family wedding for the entire British people. Everyone gladly shared in the rejoicings, because the Crown once again was serving to remind us of the common humanity which unites us all. Outside the palace, 100,000 people surged forward in a solid mass. They wanted Elizabeth. They wanted Philip. From the palace balcony, Elizabeth and her husband waved to the cheering crowds. Excitement was at its peak as the King, the Queen, Queen Mary, and other members of the royal family came out to join them. Seldom has a bride and groom received such a tumultuous expression of goodwill. Inside the palace, the cameras were able to capture the exquisite workmanship of the bridal gown. Princess Margaret leads the 8 bridesmaids who have come to join the bridal pair. And now, with the King and Queen to complete the family group, here are 3 generations of Europe's royal houses. As the great day drew to a close, there was the final drive across Westminster Bridge to Waterloo Station before the princess and her husband could gain the quiet that was rightfully theirs. In the princess, the nation has found all the qualities which merit the confidence of a people who have faith in the crown and its rigid observance of public duty. That is the tradition which Elizabeth will follow. And when the time comes for her to assume her responsibilities, by her side will be a husband whose counsel will merge with her own for the good of the realm. In that grateful knowledge, the nation and the Commonwealth will pray that the young couple may enjoy a long, happy, and fruitful life. Cathay News offers its congratulations to our future Queen, now that she is 21 years old. Pictures show her in the moments when she is not so much Her Royal Highness Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, but as a young and happy girl. At 21, a girl who will become a queen inevitably must be the center of much speculation on the choice of her future consort. In this connection, the name of Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, formerly Prince Philip of Greece, has been repeatedly mentioned throughout the world. These rumors have been as often denied from Buckingham Palace. Increasingly heavy public duties fall upon the shoulders of the heir presumptive to the throne. Britain and the Empire know that she will discharge these duties, as her parents have done, in the service of her people. We hope, too, that she may be allowed to find her own personal happiness. We salute the young girl who accepts such worldwide responsibilities. To keep out of the news. At the 1,000-year-old Romsey Abbey in Hampshire, 10,000 people stood on chairs and climbed churchyard trees to get a glimpse of the Princess and the Duke as they left after morning service. Hemmed in by well-wishers, the royal car had great difficulty in getting back to Broadlands, the honeymoon retreat of the royal pair. Back at the house, home of Earl and Countess Mountbatten, the sun was shining as the couple strolled through the grounds. Accompanied by the princess's favorite corgi, cameramen took the first post-wedding pictures. Later, the princess and the Duke studied some of the photos of their wedding. Below his usual signet ring, the Duke of Edinburgh wore a wedding ring, the gift of his wife. The second part of their honeymoon will be spent in Scotland, and so for a while, Cathay News will respect their desire for the seclusion they have so well earned. And from beyond the strike...
There was the keenest possible interest at Romsey Abbey, where hundreds of people waited on the chance of seeing Princess Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh attend the service on the Sunday morning after their wedding. Canon Corbin, the vicar of Romsey, received the royal couple, who had expressed a wish to attend as ordinary members of the congregation. There was an even larger crowd determined to see them drive away on their return to Broadlands. The Princess and the Duke have been spending the first part of their honeymoon at Earl Mountbatten's beautiful country home, and they allowed this film to be made as a brief record of their stay there. Such great excitement was aroused both at home and abroad by the royal wedding that these pictures will undoubtedly be welcomed by millions of people all over the world. In the peaceful grounds of Broadlands, the Princess and her husband look over some of the wedding photographs before returning to the house. In a few days, it was understood, they would be leaving for the second part of the honeymoon on D side.
In May, Pathé News reported the arrival of Prince Peter and Princess Catherine of Greece. 3 weeks earlier, we met Princess Alice of Greece, mother of Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, formerly Prince Philip of Greece. During these months, members of the Mountbatten family, including Lord Louis and Lady Mountbatten, had come to London. Weeks of speculation throughout the world were quickened when it was stated that the Duchess of Kent had visited Greece reportedly to see her mother. The world surmised that this was the last step before the announcement of Lieutenant Mountbatten's engagement to Princess Elizabeth. To world politicians and diplomats, the engagement of the heiress presumptive to the British crown is a matter of the highest policy. To the 21-year-old princess and the former Prince of Greece, it marks the climax to a youthful romance. While on her recent tour of Africa, she wrote him several letters a week. To inquirers about her engagement, the princess said, "You must wait and see." But many times he was seen at parties with Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten. The former Prince Philip, tall, blonde and handsome, was at the wedding of his cousin Patricia Mountbatten. The 26-year-old naval officer renounced all his rights to his Greek heritage when he became a British citizen. For months in his uniform as a lieutenant in the Royal Navy, his photograph has been on Princess Elizabeth's desk. As Prince Consort, he will follow Prince Albert, well-loved consort of Queen Victoria. They are happy in their approaching wedding. The British people are happy for them. But world interest in the royal wedding was reaching its peak. At Broadlands in Hampshire, Princess Elizabeth and Lieutenant Philip will spend part of their honeymoon. Meanwhile, the bridesmaids prepare for the great occasion. Princess Margaret will be at her sister's side in the Abbey. Pamela Mountbatten, here seen at her sister's wedding, will fly from India to take part. 23-year-old Lady Mary Cambridge, at her home in Kirtling Towers, Newmarket, will also attend the princess. Her father is the King's cousin. The youngest of the royal bridesmaids is 10-year-old Princess Alexandra. When a Pathé cameraman called at her home at Ivor, she was in the garden with her mother, the Duchess of Kent, and her young brother. Prince Michael, 5 years old, will be a page. Incidents from the lives of the royal couple are portrayed on the official wedding cake. Australian Girl Guides provided the ingredients. While Britain prepared for many royal